So it appears that the Agiye Hall Alabama saga could be headed towards its end, as the top 50 overall player in the nation in the class of 2021 has officially entered his name into the transfer portal. We need to talk about what this means for Agiye Hall, also what this means for that Alabama wide receiver room, and we're going to break it all down. But before we do, as always, y'all know the drill. I want to hear from you. Hop down to the comments, let me know the wide receiver you think steps up and has a big season, and then give me a Y for yes, N for no. And given that we've already heard Saban praise 2 of these true freshman wide receivers, and 3 more are set to come in, do you believe we could see one of those guys step up with the absence of Agiye Hall? Let me know what you're thinking. If you are new to the channel, be sure to subscribe, hit that bell notification. I do constant college football content. You don't want to miss any of it, and we're on our push to 15,000 subscribers, and I'd love to have you a part of our community. And if you enjoyed the content, like and comment down below, as those interactions are massive to content creators such as myself. But with all that being said, let's hop right into this. And today, news came down that wasn't surprising, especially after what Nick Saban had to say yesterday in his press conference, that Agiye Hall has officially entered his name into the transfer portal. And this is a situation we've got to watch, because he instantly becomes one of the most talented players in the transfer portal, certainly going to be one of the most lauded receivers in the portal. So there are going to be a lot of suitors. I have no doubt about that. He's the type of talent that if he gets his head on right and he comes and works, he could be an exciting piece to an offense, and a piece that really helps an offense out. So because of that, we have to keep an eye on. Look, we have to be honest here. Agiye Hall burst on the scene on A-Day and flashed the type of potential he has. And if he's able to realize that potential, he's going to be an excellent wide receiver. So it is worth watching. It's going to be interesting to see, given that he's from the state of Florida and the massive moves that have happened in that state. With the Florida Gators, Billy Napier is now there, and there's a lot of excitement around that program right now. But also the Miami Hurricanes and Mario Cristobal. That's a situation that I'm going to be watching closely, especially a team like Miami that has a quarterback in Tyler Van Dyke that has got a lot of ability, and there are going to be a lot of eyes watching what he does. Given that both of those institutions have new head coaches, there's a lot of excitement around both of them, and that Agiye is from Florida, it is worth noting. But also programs such as USC, programs such as Texas, both institutions that could use the help offensively. Texas needs to worry about their offensive line more so than the weapons, because they already have a good amount in the weapons department. But at the end of the day, if you can get in Agiye Hall, it will only take pressure off of Nayor, off of Worthy, off of Whittington, off of Bijan. You get my point. And USC's in a situation where they're looking to make their mark on the Pac-12 in Lincoln Riley's first year. You get Mario Williams. You got a bunch of other talented wide receivers out the transfer portal, and inevitably, the bow that holds it all together is Caleb Williams. So that's an institution I wouldn't be surprised at all to reach out to Agiye Hall, try and get him in the fold, see if they can get him in, because he would be a massive addition to USC's transfer portal acquisition class. However, there are several other institutions that are going to be reaching out, and most institutions are probably going to be interested in talking to Agiye Hall at the very least. He could be a massive addition to whoever's class and be someone to watch in the upcoming season. But what does this mean for the Crimson Tide? And luckily for Alabama, there is a silver lining, as there typically is when we're talking about the Crimson Tide. And today's silver lining comes in 2 parts. First and foremost, it's the amount of talent Nick Saban and Alabama has been able to bring in at the wide receiver position. Look, we've already heard Nick Saban talk about 2 of these true freshmen, and even though I'm not saying either of those guys are set to become full-time starters this season, the fact that those guys are already impressing this early on, and a Kendrick Law where not only did Nick Saban talk about the speed, the size, the hands, the route running, but also the ability as a true freshman to recognize what he needs to work on, put his head down, and have the right mental attitude. That was high praise. Even though that doesn't mean he or Aaron Anderson will be full-time starters, it's the fact that they're already in this early, getting good reps in, and working well with the team. But we also need to remember there are 3 more freshmen set to come in, and even outside of that, you have the wide receivers that got in last year. We're talking JoJo Earl, we're talking Christian Leary, we're talking Ja'Cory Brooks. Even outside of that, you have Trayshawn Holden and Tyu Jones-Bell, and Trayshawn Holden season is a name I think we need to be watching out for. He's someone that Bryce Young has got a good relationship with, and if he gets the opportunity, I think he's set to make a name for himself, and I'm very excited for that prospect. At the end of the day, Alabama's wide receiver room has got talent. That talent must be realized, but there's a whole lot of potential in that room. Silver lining number 2 comes in the form of reportedly Agiye Hall hadn't been all that active in spring practices to this point. So it's not like he and Bryce Young had built up this incredible relationship and all of these reps together, and now you're going to have to try and replicate that with someone else. Albeit you still have got a long time before the season, but inevitably those reps are important. So it's not like this is someone who's been able to take advantage of the reps that would have been theirs anyways. According to multiple reports, he just was starting to practice during the springtime and didn't even scrimmage. So those reps and those guys that have been taking those reps are still on the roster, and that is a bit of a silver lining. It's never good to lose a player with the caliber of talent Agiye Hall has, and I think we can all agree on that. In a perfect case scenario, we would love for him to be a member of the Alabama Crimson Tide and show off the potential he has. But at the end of the day, not all relationships are worthwhile, and if this one isn't worthwhile for Alabama, then it's not worth it. And if it's not worth it for Agiye Hall, well, it's just simply not worth it. Now, one thing we do need to say before we get out of here, just because a player enters their name into the transfer portal, it's not a foregone conclusion that they are set to transfer. I, however, would be very surprised if he did not, given the way this whole situation has unfolded and given the comments Nick Saban said yesterday. But with all that being said, hop down to the comments, let me know what you're thinking about this situation, let me know what you're thinking about the young wide receivers, and then let me know the name you're watching out for. That's it. See ya.